Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Shield.com. From Studio A, inside the world-famous Sugar Shack in Texas, USA, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Shay Manawar, Anderson Economics, the cost of gasoline-powered vehicles versus EVs. We'll also have the upcoming events calendar. Mars reviews the new Mercedes-Benz G:E, sometimes known as the GLE 450. Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines. Howdy, along with David Ainsley, who is filling in for the COVID-infected Mike Mars. Conrad DeLong, who's taking a quick break outside. You know what that's about. We always need more Jeff Zekin.
We do.
I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. Let's continue on our quest for economic knowledge.
What?
Shall we? Yeah. Well, I mean, we had the Equifax lady on.
For that.
Well, I'm not either because I really don't know what to ask. Shay Manawar, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Hey,
what a crew.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was saying, I remember our CEO, Patrick Anderson, was over last year, I believe, and then he reminded me of the great crew you guys are.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
You can pick a calendar up on your way out.
Yeah, calendar. Jeff had a feature on calendars, and all of the pictures of every month of the calendar had a electric car or some kind of car that was on fire. So there you go. There's that.
Yeah. Now it's not just the car; it's the entire ship nowadays.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So let's talk about the actual cost to have a vehicle that has a gasoline engine in it versus a comparable car on the EV side. How do those things play out when it comes to the actual cost that it's cost? I go to the grocery store and I fill up my tank with gasoline once a week and it costs me $40. How does that compare to an EV?
Look, there are a lot of inputs that go into the way we calculate fuel costs.
Okay.
And the most important factor as of this point is when we compare the costs, the size of the infrastructure that fuels these vehicles, EVs and ICE vehicles, internal combustions, play a big role. So if you're going to a grocery store and you see a number of gas stations to fuel a car, compared to when you have an EV and trying to figure out where those charging stations are, these inputs do matter. And then as of right now, based on the infrastructure that we have for typical Americans, it favors internal combustion engines that we typically be driving for decades now. So many of the segments that we look at, be it entry price, be it mid price, be it luxury price, it tends to favor those drivers who are driving internal combustion engine cars compared to EV. And that's what we have been noticing every quarter. And if we do every year, we look at that too. And then it also depends on the gas prices, energy prices, and other factors too. So, but that's changing every quarter now that we are looking at new EV models coming in and how the gas price, energy prices are playing out. So,
well, I know that I have got to change my way of thinking because I'm old school and all I know is price per gallon and how many miles I can go on a gallon of gasoline. That's my basic.
So, yeah. Is there anybody that's doing that calculation for the consumer, cost per mile of operation? Not price per gallon or anything, but cost per mile of operation, because that's got to be the final comparison. Is how much does it cost me to operate an EV per mile? How much does it cost me to operate an ICE engine for a mile?
Yeah, so we have been doing it since 2021, Anderson Economic Group, and we have been advising the auto industry stakeholders for nearly 25 plus years. And then a couple of years ago, we started looking at some of the data that directly impacts how the fuel costs play out for consumers. For instance, the entry price cars, look at be it EVs or ICE, when we look at the data for the first half of the year, we found that if you're driving an entry price like Hyundai or Toyota or Ford, you're paying about 9.78 per 100 miles compared to when you drive an EV. That goes up a little bit. What that means is that if you're relying on an EV, you might end up paying a little bit more out of pocket for about 100 purposeful miles driven. What that means is that maybe you're driving a car that is depending on an infrastructure or that relies on infrastructure that is not there yet.
It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
And then we have seen a lot of positivity around it. There are a lot of positive factors playing a part. I mean, we have been looking at how consumers would benefit from an increase in infrastructure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of negatives too, because you get to a lot of these charging locations and they don't work, or they've got 8 plug-in places and 7 of them don't work, and there's a line of 15, 20 cars for the one that does. And I know they're trying to increase the number of charging stations around the country. It seems like Tesla's doing the best job of it, but not everybody can charge at a Tesla charging station.
And not everybody can afford a Tesla, let alone charging it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that one of the factors for me is, and I've said this from the beginning, is that sure is a whole lot easier for me to go and get gasoline in my car, even though that it's empty and it has a 15-gallon tank. It takes me about 3 minutes to put 15 gallons worth of gas in my car, as opposed to, getting an 80% charge on my EV that's going to take me at least 30 minutes out of my day. I don't have time for that. Plus, I've got to find a place that I can get an EV charge if it's away from the house, and I've only got 110 volts going to the car overnight.
And then there's the guy in Canada that just made all the news. He went out and bought his $115,000 Lightning, and then spent like $12,000 putting in a level 2 charger at his house and a level 2 charger at work. And then he was trying to make a cross country, though it's cross Canada, I'll give you that, trip. And about halfway through the trip, he said, forget this, and got rid of his Lightning and bought an ICE-powered vehicle and finished his trip, because there was just no infrastructure within Canada. And I don't really believe there's a great enough infrastructure in the United States to make those cross-country trips efficiently.
But Shay, I'm sure that you know all of this, and the fact of the matter is, and I read this all the time, I haven't actually seen it, but there are more and more charging stations every day coming online, and from the rate that they're going with the charging stations, that eventually it's going to catch up to the need, and it's going to be kind of a wash in that area.
I think that's a pretty good point, and I think that would happen. I mean, I've been seeing those in probably more around urban communities.
Of course, yes.
I've been traveling a lot lately. I was in Arizona and then New York, and I do see that in densely populated urban communities, you do see that infrastructure. But then when we look at an overall EV transition, we're not just nitpicking certain communities. We're talking about the entire country as a whole. And that's where I believe the transition might look different for certain regions, certain states, and even within states. For instance, Michigan. I mean, a lot of the Michigan is based on tourism. I mean, it's a state that is, even though densely populated around Detroit, but then a lot of folks coming into Michigan, they travel up north. And then we looked at the charging infrastructure in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there were hardly any. What that means is a family, for instance, family like myself, who have a toddler. I mean, if I'm planning to go on a trip, even if I have an EV, I may decide to still take my minivan, that I know that if something happens, I don't have to worry about figuring out how to charge my car so that I can bring my family back home. And these are the things that kind of play out in consumer psyche. And we do see that every quarter when we look at the sales data. I look at data nearly every day, and I do see that some of the popular domestic brands, such as Ford Mach-E, had few good quarters, and their numbers went down. So that doesn't mean that when you launch a new EV model, the sales going to pick up right away. I need to see if my neighbors is driving that car, and then I need to hear what the stories they have, and then if they're having any issues. And at this point of time, a typical American do not see their neighbors left or right driving an EV. Once that happens, we would see we would see a culture that start to embrace EV from a consumer perspective, not just from.
And then on top of that, how much of the EV infrastructure is being supported by the U.S. taxpayer when the government's trying to force EVs on everybody, so they're taking money from everybody to push them into the electric vehicle category. And at some point, that's got to shut down as well because, I'd like to believe we only have so much money the government can give away. They haven't figured that out in Washington, D.C. yet because they continue to just give away without any consequence. But, at some point that's got to stop, that the government's funding the infrastructure rebuild of the EV charging stations.
You know what? My understanding is at the end of the day, all the costs that we talk about, at the end of the day, it's paid by consumers. I mean, if you look at the average transaction price of a new vehicle, before around pandemic, it was about like $35,000 a unit. Now it's about touching $50,000 a unit. So, and something that your previous guest was talking about. I mean, it's not that you decide that you're going to buy an EV regardless who's paying it or how it's getting subsidized. At the end of the day, if your financial needs are not able to meet the requirements of an EV purchase, you're not going to buy it. Or even if you buy it, you also have to look at the time cost that's needed to learn about the new technology, and you think if it's a good fit for the family or not. So these are the things that I believe consumers tend to rely on much before they decide if the government has any part to play or how manufacturers are thinking about the EV transition. At the end of the day, car is one of the big ticket items that people, when decide to purchase, they look at their budget constraints. They talk about it with their spouses. They look at the family structure and the infrastructure around their neighborhood. For example, not everybody live in a nice garage or in a nice subdivision. You have apartments where you don't have much control over how to park, where to park, and type of infrastructure around the parking lot. And I do see that at least in Michigan a lot. I mean, I live very close to a college campus. And if we need to push that EV transition, I do not see many newer generation may be able to afford an EV or have an infrastructure where they can charge a car and still go to school. So these are the few things that play a big role. And I can always remind myself about how I started to buy new cars or used cars when I was in college and then in my 20s and looking at the credit score. It took me years to get to that 750 range, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that I did read something here just recently about the early adopter kind of theory that is a proven fact. You come out with a new car, there's going to be that group of people that are all going to go and buy that car. Mm-hmm. Let's just take the Corvette Z06, for instance. There's one, or just the C8 Corvette, the brand new Corvette. Sales out the wazoo, people lined up for them, paying over MSRP by a whopping amount of money. Well, that's kind of trailed off now that the car's been in the market for a few years. Mm-hmm. And the same thing is going to hold true with the Z06. Any other kind of specialty cars that Detroit comes out with, or any global manufacturer comes out with. And I think that there has been an upsurge in the EV take-home rate, if you will, in the past, few years.
As the new ones are announced.
Right, and as the availability becomes more and more, that seems to have trailed off. And the Mustang Mach-E is a perfect example of that. It's known fact that sales are down from what they originally were when the car came on the market. Yep. And so I think that there's always going to be that segment. I got a brand new EV. I worked with a guy. He went out and bought a new EV a couple of years ago. He loves it. He swears by it. He does take it back and forth to San Antonio on occasions, but not always. Right. It's mainly a commuter car for him to go from the apartment back.
And that works for him that way.
And it works for him that way. And but that is a hefty price to pay for a commuter car when you can buy a commuter car. Let's say, for instance, an entry-level car that has a high mileage rating, 30, 40 miles per gallon to take back and forth to work, and you're not really too concerned about the luxury aspect of it. You want to save money going back and forth to work. So that is all, I think, eventually going to balance itself out. They're coming out with brand new EVs that are $200,000 and more. These new manufacturers, Rivian, for example.
Right.
Well, Cadillac just announced the Celestiq, or whatever.
Yeah,
it's gonna be.
Celestiq.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to start at $230,000.
Which
Are
I
you
recommend
kidding?
one for everyone.
Everyone, I think, should get
And
one.
Mary Barra still makes $29 million a year.
You know, when I was up there, we voted her a new raise. We got her a raise.
That's good. Well, I know that
I had a chance to see some of these models. I mean, Detroit. In Detroit, there's an auto show that happens every year.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, I'm glad that it was back after a little break because of the COVID. And I sat in. So there were quite a few EVs on display, such as Chevy Equinox EV, and
Yes.
it looked very nice. Even though I was not able to go and sit in the car. I mean, you can sit in those ICE vehicles, but not in EV when they were displayed. But I mean, it did capture the audience attention, I must say. But then going back to the point that, you know what, we need more crossovers in EV segment. There's not enough right now. Mackie, and then there are a few others too. But then the big three needs to pump up more crossovers and even trucks, because those are the two most popular segments that we've been seeing for nearly 4 or 5 years in terms of number of units sold.
Well, I will tell you that, believe me, the car manufacturers are well aware of your thought, and they are pumping them out as quickly as they can from the blueprints and getting them up in the manufacturing
But the price
segment.
point of the ones that they're releasing are all 100,000 plus. You know, look at the Hummer.
And that's what he's
EV.
talking about.
Yeah.
The Lightning is, you know,
Yeah.
you got to pay top dollar to get one.
If I were going to offer anybody a suggestion, I would say, if you want the best of both worlds, go and get yourself a hybrid that's got an ICE engine
Gas
and
electric.
battery, and it's going to go a lot further than it ever has in your life before, and you've got the reliability of an ICE engine and don't have to worry about going and getting a charge.
Running out of charge.
Yeah, so there's that.
And that's a pretty good use. Sorry to cut you guys, but that's a pretty good use story for manufacturers. For instance, Toyota. I mean, there's a reason why they're a little behind in terms of big announcements, is because they learned a lot, many lessons when they had their hybrid and plug-in hybrid. So my understanding is once they decide to add new models in their lineup, EV models, they may address many of the consumer needs compared to other manufacturers who may not had the luxury of trying out hybrids or plug-in hybrids in their lineup 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Shay,
And they've proven themselves with the Prius over a long period of time to be a very effective hybrid vehicle.
Shay, it's great to talk to you. I'm sorry, go ahead. You had one more thing to say?
And then having a nameplate that's something that stays in consumers' head for a few decades now. I mean, having a nameplate,
Agreed.
it matters a lot. I mean, the reason why
Longevity,
Toyota has Corolla in nearly every segment now, from hatchback to sedan to even crossover, because it does play in consumer psyche. And I think this is some of the most important factor that Ford may have realized with Mach-E, but other manufacturers have to look at that too.
Well, Shay, it's great to talk to you, and we thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate you.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Shay Manawar with the Anderson Economic Group. Okay, time now for the events calendar. Not the cruise in, not the racing, but the events calendar. That would be car shows.
Mustang Club of Houston, we just talked to Werner. October 7th is going to be their fall open car show at Planet Ford in spring. October 14th is the all-British car show at the Butler House off of Gosling Road of 99. And you know why they chose the Butler House? Because there's a big collection of wreckers all around there to move those British cars around. October 28th, the 38th annual Wolf Creek Car Show and Bike in Cold Spring, Texas. Saturday, August 12th, is Cypress Cars and Coffee, their back-to-school drive. That's tomorrow. Actually, that's today. Lone Star Drift Round 4 is August 19th at Motorsports Resort in Angleton. Saturday, September 16th, is the Schulenburg Take Flight Cruise leaving from Buc-ee's in Waller. Lone Star Drift Round 3 at the Houston Police Academy is September 23rd. Then again, we talked to the Northside Mustang is having their fall open car show November 4th as well, and that'll be at the Bull Salas Park in New Caney. And finally, Saturday, October 28th, Oak Turbo Fest at Kareem Shriners in Waco, Texas.
All right.
Let's go there. That'd be a fun little road trip.
That'd be a happy
All right,
place.
time now for this hour's car review. Even though Mr. Mars is not with us today in the studio, he managed to supply us with a car review of the Mercedes-Benz G:"E, which we think we're deciphering it would be the GLE 450. So here is Mr. Mars with this week's car review.
Recently, I had the opportunity to spend a week behind the wheel of the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 4MATIC. Now, 4MATIC's a really cool way of saying that this is an all-wheel drive vehicle. Now, it is a mid-sized luxury SUV that seats 5, unless you have the optional third row package, which we happen to have. I like 5. I like the extra room for the cargo and stuff in the back, but if you need a little more space, there is an optional to get it. In fact, we had several different package options on this vehicle, such as the night package option. So what that does, it gives the black grille trim, the side mirrors are blacked out, the roof rails, we got a little black on the wheels to kind of give it a little more sporty look. In fact, we also have the AMG Live exterior. Now, this is some AMG styling pieces that are brought over onto this vehicle as part of an option package. We had the LED lighting, so we got LED up front, we got the tail lights, we got the turn signals. We had the soft closed doors, which I thought was really cool. Worked well, particularly with the acoustic package that we had to add some deadening sound on the glass as well as extra insulation. Had a panoramic sunroof, and we had those 21-inch AMG black wheels on it that were really set it off with the gray paint that we had. Now, on the interior, we get into some really nice stuff in here. We had leather seating surfaces, and again, we had that third row option. The front seats are heated and ventilated, and we had the second row, and then, of course, the third row. But up front in the technology, we had the 12.3-inch instrument display. Nice, big, a lot of room there to see a lot of stuff. But we also had the 12.3-inch center touchscreen so it kind of blended together really nice to make it look like one long piece. And you add that with the Burmeister surround sound audio and the wireless charging system and the wireless phone connections. There's a lot of technology in this vehicle, to say the least. Now, to keep it going down the road, there's a couple of different options, but we had the 3.0 inline turbo engine. Now, this produces 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. It's backed by a 9-speed automatic. Now, the EPA says you should be looking for 19 in the city, 26 on the highway, combined 22 on average. Now, I kind of skewed things to the highway side, 408.9 miles in the days that I had it, so a lot of it was out on highway. But it averaged out to 21.5, and I really think if you drove it like you were after mileage, you could really match, maybe even exceed that combined mileage rate. But it does have plenty of acceleration, I will tell you that. And the ride and the handling, particularly out on the highway, and it provides a nice quiet space. Like I said, it has the acoustic package, so it's got acoustic glass on it. It's got some extra insulation in it. It really makes for a nice ride and setting it up to where you can drive it a long time. Now, the base model for a GLE is actually the 350 4MATIC, so it's at $63,800. But if you're looking for the base trim price on the GLE 450, you're looking at $69,500. As tested with the option packages that we had, $89,680. Now, if you're looking for something to compare that to in that mid-sized luxury category, you might look over at the Audi Q8 at $74,400 starting. The BMW X5 starts down around $65,200. And you can even look at the Genesis GV80 in that same class. It starts at $55,800. So overall, mid-size SUV, even with the third row option in it, seating 7 people, this is a very nice vehicle. And if you're looking in that mid-size category, then this might be one you want to consider. And that's my review of the 2024 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 4MATIC.
Thank you, Mr. Mars. It makes us miss you even more.
No, it doesn't.
It does not.
I miss you, Mike.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Yeah, feel better.
Miss you like a rock in the bottom of my shoe.
Wow. You know, when I got in here, I figured Conrad looks a little tired. I said, no, he's just ugly.
There's that.
Thanks.
Hank, I got some recalls to tell you about. Driver's airbag inflator may explode.
Pop!
On the Buick, Verano, Chevy Camaro, Chevy Sonic, and the Chevy Volt for 2013.
Vendor issues.
Yeah. Electric oil pump assembly may cause a fire.
Thermal event
on the Hyundai Elantra, Kona, Palisade, Sonata, and Tucson for 2023 and 2024.
That'll stop people from stealing them.
Mm-hmm. There's a recall on a Porsche. It's not much, but hazard warning lights may fail on the Porsche Cayenne, the Cayenne Coupe, the Cayenne S, the Cayenne S Coupe, the Cayenne Turbo GT for the 2024 model year. Electric oil pump assembly may cause a fire in the Kia Seltos, Soul, and Sportage for 23 and 24 model years. The Kia Niro for 2017 through 2022. Kia Niro engine compartment fire, and the Niro PHEV 2018 through 2022.
I remember Nero was busy fiddling while Rome
was
burned.
Yeah. Or your car.
Isn't that the guy that goes, pizza, pizza? Isn't that the same guy? Or is that Caesar?
That's Caesar. That's Caesar.
Okay, well, whatever. I was close, wasn't I?
Nero.
Yeah.
Nero.
I think he was shorter.
He was a little shorter. Yeah. I know some people that have that kind of attitude.
The Napoleon complex.
That's it. So that's it for this hour's recalls. I have some automotive news that we're going to get to, and we got Conrad's Car Clinic coming up as well. I got all of that.
Got all of it.
Now I just have to learn how to turn the page, the right page, and not combine stuff.
Lick your finger, Don.
I know. Guess who's in the queue?
Richard Tomlin, the head of the regional SCCA.
Yeah,
but more importantly, in this particular talk, we're going to talk about building a car for the 24 hours of lemons.
It's that time of year again?
It's not Le Mans, but it's lemons.
It's that time of year.
So we're going to learn how to build
donate
that.
to C5?
I'm not, but it's not worthy. But I'm sure that Richard Tomlin can come up with some really fine cars for us of this.
No doubt.
Because, I mean, is it any different really than a destruction derby? It just lasts a little bit longer.
It's endurance.
Yeah, you just destroy it by driving it because you brought a POS to race.
That's right. With low oil pressure.
Send some stickers of in-wheel time put on the car.
Hey, we've got more of the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show coming your way right after a quick break. Stay with us, Richard.
Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.